Rutherford around was going to be a distraction. He couldn't quite put his finger on what it was about her that made him want to sit across a table from her and ask her a million questions about herself. The hard punch of sexual attraction had taken him by surprise with its intensity, but it was more than that. She had an air of calm confidence that intrigued him, like she was a woman who really had her shit together. And that was something he must find attractive because he'd thought about her more than a few times in the last 24 hours. It was too bad that they not only worked together, but that she was his superior. Fitz gave a mournful shake of his head.
Can't talk about stuff of a sexual nature with your buddy when there's a woman around, if you know what I mean. Since my buddy's doing stuff of a sexual nature with my sister, trust me, that ship has already sailed,
Scott replied, trying to keep the annoyance he felt from creeping into his tone. The old guy was really scraping the bottom of the barrel looking for a reason to disapprove of a woman being on the job.
What do you guys talk about, then? Sports? And how much taxes suck? Like everybody else.
As intended, the mention of taxes set Fitz off like a wind-up toy. Once he got going, dragging Tommy into a tirade about the government, Scott made his escape.
I'm going to grab a beer. I'll be back.
Not any time soon, if he could help it, but they probably wouldn't even notice. He walked around to the other side of the bar, which had no stools. Tommy had figured out a long time ago nobody ever sat on that side, but would stand around and talk, so he'd taken the stools out to make more space. Lydia set a mug on a napkin in front of him and smiled. I would have brought one to you, but I thought you might need a reason to escape.
Thanks.
He took a long sip and sighed.
I knew they'd have some opinions about a woman in the company, but I thought they'd go with PMS or women having less upper body strength or something. Not the fact we can't indulge in locker room talk around her.
Hayden said it kind of sucks that he can't talk to his best friend about his sex life ever again. Scott grimaced.
I don't even want to talk about talking about Aiden's sex life.
How do you feel about having a woman in the company?
I don't know.
He shrugged.
It'll be weird, I guess. None of us have ever worked with a woman before. But she's not only a firefighter, she's an officer. So I guess she's probably good at the job.
What's she like?
Don't really know yet. I talked to her for maybe 5 minutes.
When his sister just looked at him, one eyebrow arched, he wondered what Aiden had said about Jamie. Or, more specifically, what Aiden had said about what Scott thought of Jamie. While he had no intention of sharing his reaction to her with anybody, because he'd never hear the end of it, Aiden was like a brother to him. If anybody would pick up on a look or body language or any other sign Scott was attracted to their new lieutenant, it would be him. I'm going to need better gossip from you guys if I'm going to be stuck behind this bar all the time, she said, letting him off the hook for now. Aiden's out back with Chris. I guess the mother-in-law's in town, so his wife let him sneak out for a few minutes. Scott chuckled and carried his beer back to the small alcove that held a pool table and a few tables. Chris Erickson had been married a long time, and they'd all spent more than a few hours hanging around the station, listening to his mother-in-law war stories. The room was empty except for the two guys, who were sitting at one of the tables with their feet up on empty chairs.
Well, this is one hell of a party. If by hell of a party, Chris said, you mean quiet and nagging free, then yes. Pull up a chair.
Scott had been thinking about playing a couple games of pool, but neither of them looked like they'd be able to muster enough ambition to stand that long. So he pulled over a chair and sat down. Then he put his feet up on the edge of the chair Aiden was using as an ottoman.
Heard your mother-in-law's visiting, he said to Chris. Yeah. And guess what moron made the mistake of mentioning the fact our new lieutenant is a woman? Why's that a big deal? It's not your wife or her mother who have to carry the line if she can't handle it, which I'm pretty sure she can. They don't even care about her pulling her weight. They want to know how old she is and if she's married and what she looks like and shit like that.
Aiden laughed.
I guess young, attractive, and single didn't go over well. She's older than we are, Scott said. She ain't old.